Hey there, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Today, we are going to have an amazing conversation with an amazing people from BrandFace. It's their second time on the show. So you know what that means. If you make it here the second time, it means you brought so much value the first time, and there's so much more that they can bring. So I brought them on. So if you haven't listened to the first episode with Michael and Tonya, you definitely want to go check that out. And I'm just going to skip the introduction and say, hey, Michael, hey, Tonya, you guys introduce yourself for those that did not listen to our first episode. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're so glad to be back and appreciate you having us back again. And we'd like to extend that same offer to you because people loved it when you were on our podcast as well. Okay, so I'll kind of start with just a brief version of my story. I actually kicked things off in the radio business back in 1988. And I noticed two things right away when I got into the radio business. Number one, nobody wanted to talk to me. No one. They slammed doors in my face, and these were people spending 5, 10, 20 grand a month on advertising, and I was just trying to do what everybody else was doing, right? Out there hustling. And I realized that if I wanted people to view me differently, I had to change the way I presented myself. Well, at the same time, I noticed some people who were presenting themselves pretty darn well because they were like local celebrities. They were the business owners, and many of them were advertisers on the radio stations. One thing they had in common was that they were the voice and the face of their business. Okay, so that's kind of long story short, fast forward ahead where BrandFace came from, right? But they were doing such a great job at that they were like local celebrities, and I thought I was on a quest then to learn how they did it. So I began bringing people into the studio, helping them hone their radio message, create their own commercials, tell their stories, connect with their clients through the power of radio. And over the years, it spread to television, newspaper, digital, everything digital. And so in 2013, BrandFace was born. And that's really all we do today is kind of help people present themselves differently in a way that's really going to attract who they want to attract. But when I started BrandFace, that's when I met this gentleman. That's when I met Michael.
Yeah. That's how we met up. I've been in the real estate business, as we told last time. I've been involved in over 78,000 residential real estate transactions in the U.S. I've been licensed in 30 states as a broker, and so got caught up in that mortgage debacle thing, and teamed up with a bigger company, and we just went after the Bear Stearns portfolio, and we auctioned off about 75% of that thing. And I came back to my small town, and I'm still a young man. I'm still hungry and want to build stuff, and I've got my own portfolio here that's come back to market, and I'm ready. And I meet this lady, I buy a piece of property, and she's like, hey, let's open up a brokerage in town. And I looked around and said, okay, I'll do it if you'll help me. And she said she would. And then she said, about 2 weeks after we started up, hey, you got to meet my niece. We need marketing. And we thought we were going after marketing, Chadi. We really did at the time. That's been 9 years ago. And when I met Tonya, what she taught me was I needed branding. Yeah, I didn't even know no difference at the time. And I let her convince me that that's what I needed. Made a lot of sense. She streamlined 3 or 4 different companies that I was running: construction, auction, real estate brokerage, investments. She put them all under one umbrella. She showed me how to be the face of it. She taught me that people were going to do business with me because of who I was and the acumen of starting those businesses and why I did that and how that helped them. And she taught me the 5 things that every brand needs to have. I didn't know any of this, but I trusted her. I did it. And then our real estate brokers have just grown and grown and grown and grown year over year over year. And then she asked me to be a partner in the company, and I'm like, shoot, yeah, I get to help other people do the same thing. I'd love to do that. And then I became like that Remington commercial guy that's like, I love the shaver so much I bought the company. And that's what we do now. Is we just get to help, entrepreneurs, real estate agents all over the country, other countries, differentiate themselves and stand out in their market.
I love it. And that's exactly why I wanted you guys to come back on the show, because this conversation is different than the other conversations of like, how do I generate a lead? What do I say? What do I do? And stuff like that. Because I'm a big believer in a lot of that can be done, beforehand, through your, branding, slash marketing. And then by the time you get in front of, that decision maker, most times what I found is that they've already made the decision based on what they observed about you beforehand. And a lot of people don't take that like very seriously because they're too consumed in like, where do I find my next deal from? So a message to everyone that's watching the show, I want you to really pay attention to what we're going to talk about today, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my darndest best to extract some real gold nuggets for you guys to begin to implement immediately, because we are living in a world right now where branding is critically important. It's the word that you hear more than any other word, when it comes down to building any kind of business, whether it's in real estate and or beyond. But before we get into that, Tonya said something earlier, and I just want to go back to that. She said, when she was out, doing the radio thing, she got a lot of rejection and pushback, and she said to herself, I got to change my approach. And I want to talk a little bit about that, because I believe that the response you are getting is a reflection of your approach. Okay, so when she took responsibility for that, and she changed her approach, everything else changed. And I want to tie that to the branding. The quality of lead that you are getting is a reflection of your brand. Can you expand on that, please? Either Michael or Tonya.
Boy, would I love to take that one, and Michael can expound upon it because it's something I'm very passionate about. You mentioned something about, before you start to market, right? Well, your brand is something that should precede you before people even meet you, right? Mm-hmm. You want people to become familiar with you and what you stand for before you ever get on the phone with them or a Zoom call or meet them in person, and that is where your brand comes into play. So back in the radio days, I'll just kind of tell this quick story. I realized really quickly that doors were getting slammed in my face, and I thought, what in the world am I going to do? Because I was young at the time too, and nobody was going to take me seriously. They didn't see me as that professional. So I knew, okay, I've got maybe 5 seconds walking into that door before somebody sizes you up and decides whether you know what you're talking about or not. So I, of course, like every professional listening to your podcast, they've done the work, they know their craft, so they're confident in how they can help somebody. They just don't know how to portray that confidence in how they can help somebody. So one of the things that I did was I was one of the first radio salespeople in the country to have their own website. Now, obviously, in today's world, things are very different. Everybody can have anything, right? They can do videos, they can do all kinds of things. But back then, I was one of the first ones. It was called radiosuccess.com. If you look it up today, it's probably available. Who knows? I abandoned that one many years ago. But that's what I did. And I left behind things that said, hey, here is what I would like to help you accomplish. Boom, boom, boom. So it wasn't about me. It wasn't about, hey, I'm going to sell you my radio station, or I'm with Keller Williams, or I'm with Coldwell Banker, right? It wasn't about that. It was like, I see something that you really need. I can help you get from here to here. And it was all about the client. And I think that's where a lot of people get tied up a lot of times. They think they don't want to put out this boastful type of brand, as they might see it as being boastful. Whereas we see it as, no, it's not about look at me. It's about look at what I can do for you. And that's what I did, and it was super successful for me. And I was, one of the youngest successful salespeople in my area, simply because I stopped and, like you said, took responsibility for it. I actually never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I like
I'm proud of myself now. Right? Thank you, Chadi.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah, to expand upon it, I'm living proof of it. I lived in an area north of Atlanta, Georgia, still do, and I was relatively unknown other than, the person that cut my hair or people I saw in the grocery store stuff. I was traveling back and forth. I actually had a place in San Diego at the time and was living out there because I did so much on the West Coast, and so I would just come back and touch base here on the East Coast. But then when I needed a brokerage, right, people are like, who are you? Like, what do you like? We don't even know you, And we had Tonya taught me was that we had to get the why in front of the people. And I remember one of the things that she caught me on, and the reason I hired her was she said, "Well, you don't want to make any more cold calls. You want to make warm calls." People would already say, "I don't know you personally, but I have seen this, or I have seen you here, or I have read your message. I like what you stand for. I like why you do what you do." And she taught me how to portray that to everybody. It made it all the difference in the world. And then we were able, obviously, to do that with each one of my independent agents. So people know the NAR told us a long time ago, it's like 94% of the people, and this was pre-COVID, that are going to do business with a real estate agent, or they're looking you up before they ever call you. They want to know about you. And Tonya taught me they don't want to know just how many transactions you have done. It doesn't need to read like a resume to get hired for a job. They want to know you love horses. They want to know that you have 4 kids. They want to know that you live in X neighborhood. They want to know that you're a part of the community. They want to know that you know their community. And these connectors are what is the driving force of how you change how you're seen by the very people you want to do business with.
I love it. I love it. So here's what we're going to do now. Okay. Obviously, you guys have done it for yourself. You've done it for a lot of agents, etc. And there's, we always get new, listeners to the podcast, etc. So what I would like to do is unpack a couple of things, because, one of the things that you said is, what's the why? What's the why? And a lot of people are so disconnected there. And, we have a training called Magic Influence, okay? And in Magic Influence, the biggest thing I wanted to drill in the minds of the participants was that they are valuable. They just never connected the dot to really see the value. So I gave them a little bit of exercise, and I want to give this exercise to everyone right here for the first time. I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think over the course of the last 12 months, okay? How many people did you assist in achieving their desired outcome, whatever that was, and list that out, okay? And then I said, how many people in the last 12 months did you help resolve a problem, okay? And I said, man, you've helped that many people resolve a problem. You helped that many people achieve a goal. Isn't that more valuable than you've ever thought about it? And they're like, yeah, I am valuable. So I said, so what's your why? What's your why? Why are you doing this? So people definitely got to get the why, okay? And what can I do for you? It's all about them. It's all about them. It's not about you. When you make it all about them, everything you want begins to appear. So Tonya or Michael, either one of you can answer the question, okay? So
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Sure can.
Okay. So let me rephrase what I think you're asking here. Okay. Instead of doing all of these things that we know everybody else is doing, what can we do differently? And to express our why, right? So I really like a nice mixture of professional and personal. And if there's ever a way to tie in what you're doing personally to what you do professionally, that's like gold. I'm going to give you an example. Michael and I love bourbon, okay? We went to the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky. We've been there a few times. And we went on a tour of Maker's Mark Distillery, Woodford Reserve Distillery. We went on a lot of tours while we were there. And we noticed, oh my gosh, every one of these distilleries has something very unique about them. One is the youngest new age distillery. One is the oldest, still operating in the same location. One was every bottle of Harry Blanton's has come out of this particular bottling facility forever and ever. And so they all had something unique. When we walked through the Maker's Mark distillery, it blew us away. And their story is that his wife, the distiller's wife, I think her name starts with an M, Margaret, and something like that. Anyway, where the Maker's Mark came from, the name came from, she was the marketing person behind Maker's Mark, and they were trying to come up with a name. He had the old family recipe for many years, and she said, we need something unique, like, when somebody does a piece of pottery and they put like that Maker's Mark on the bottom of it, and he said, that's it, Maker's Mark. And then she took it all these extra steps. The red wax that drips off the top of how their bottles are closed, that became another mark of the brand. When you go to their distillery, all of their shutters are that on all of the buildings are that exact same red color. When you go into their office, they have a Dale Chihuly chandelier hanging overhead. Why? Because they realized that they wanted to reach out to very high level, very successful individuals with their brand. And so a lot of those things they were doing meshed into that. Okay, so I get back on track now to more of the answer. That's one of the ways that Michael and I took a personal journey that we had and turned it into something about branding. And that's where you can connect those two, that allows you to showcase your life and what you do sort of every day and blend that into what you do for other people. That kind of helps demonstrate your why a little bit, and so that's one example that immediately came to mind for me.
Yeah, we call that living your brand. It's very important. Like, there's so many companies out there that you can hire that'll do your posting for you, right? And posting is important. And I always had the argument of quantity versus quality. And Tonya always said you want quality, right? And you do. I always thought you want high quantities of quality, right? So I was just like pushing, like, because you have to be repetitive. You don't want your website or your social media and you haven't had a post in 3 months, even if you haven't had a sale in 3 months. You want people go there and they're looking. They want to see that you're being active. But like, if you love old farmhouses and that's your specialty and your niche, even if you don't have a listing for a farmhouse, you should have farmhouses on your social media. You should tour farmhouses. You should go to place the like redos of farmhouses and shoot video of farmhouses because you love it. And then you're not just posting. People are recognizing you're passionate about the same very thing you're trying to get them to let you do, hire you to sell farmhouses. And so many agents I find don't do this, right? They don't put that legwork into it. If you're passionate about first-time home buyers, you should be touring first-time home buyer homes. You should be having interviews with first-time home buyers, because then that authenticity is building that brand and attracting more first-time home buyers or more farm home buyers or whatever it is that you want to niche into. And people, like you said it earlier before we turned on the thing, people understand you love this. You are in this because you're passionate about it, and they will come in droves to do business with you.
I love it. Okay, so in the world of real estate, I just want to get clear on this. We're talking about passions and putting you into it. We're talking about farmhouses and, Maker's Mark and all that good stuff. So let's say I love dogs, or I love horses, or I love birds, or not snakes for sure. But, do I incorporate that somehow, some way? Is that relevant? Because I do see people with pictures of their dogs and, and that's like part of their branding. Is that branding done right? Is that branding done incorrectly?
Okay.
It can be both.
It can be both, but I think it's not that you have to sit your dog in front of a house every time you take a picture, right? It needs to be this more organic thing. Show your dog at different places around the house. Show your dog riding with you in the car to a showing, right? So incorporate that dog into your life somehow. I know there was a lady we worked with down in Jacksonville, and one of her hobbies was they actually they fostered rescue dogs. So they would foster them until they could find a longer term home. And she wanted her dog to be in a photo with her because in her biography, part of her story was about rescue dogs. And so people make that connection, right? As long as it's part of your story, there's nothing wrong with it. I always like to say, think of creative ways to put that dog into what you do every day. It's like having a picture of a dog watching you as you're putting a new listing into the MLS, right? Here's the head, here's your computer, right? You know, side by side, which they all do. Dogs just know when we want to work, and they don't, and they want us to throw the ball. Their head ends up right in our computer. So pictures like that to say, hey, you know, Fido's looking over the new listing I'm putting into the MLS today for the Smith family, right? So things like that just incorporate the fun. And when you're doing like holiday meals, you know, coming up, Thanksgiving's not too long from now. Also, put your dog in a Halloween costume, you know, headed out to the community Halloween in this town, right? You know, not only do we love looking at houses, but Fido loves looking like a bumblebee, right? I say that because I dressed my beagle one time as a bee, and he actually won a big dog-a-ween costume contest. So
I love a dog-a-ween costume.
yeah, so those things, just think about the different things you do that can be incorporated into what you do professionally and have fun with it. That's the main thing, is the fun.
Yeah, and I think to take it a step further, I think let it be more of an authentic thing versus a marketing thing. Like, don't take your dog and try to fit your dog in. Let it
Very
be
true.
more authentic.
What happens every day, just pick up on it. Just
Yeah.
pick up on
Yep.
it. You know, don't sit your dog in front of every house and take a picture of him. That's artificial.
You know, Chadi, it's almost like we all have fallen into, and I put us in that same boat. We all have fallen into this ideal that our social media, our websites, has to be this huge international stardom type of huge, you know, followings and likes and all that kind of stuff. And we sort of we fell into that pit. And then all of a sudden we're not really enjoying posting on social media. If you don't enjoy posting on social media, don't. Find what it is where your customers are at. Maybe you enjoy going to a baseball game, like just a rec ball game. You might not even have kids in that, but talk to the people around there and just say, I love Little League baseball. These kids are so cute. They're on they're hitting. I love the high school football games, right? I mean, we all know high school football games. People that live in the community whose kids they've got great grandkids, they're still going to the same community football game because your customers are there, and you can infuse your brand there just as easy as you can social media, right? We should keep a modicum of that social media, but think about this. I'm at the football game tonight. I love high school football, you know, by the way, and then you've got your overlay of your brand. Maybe you got your shirt on. I'm a realtor. People are seeing you. There's 300-400 people there. You're a realtor in town. Have a t-shirt that says, I am the football realtor. I'm just throwing out ideas, but we have these ideas that we have to, and this guy, we were on his podcast. I can't remember. I wish I could remember. You may remember this. But I remember when it all just sort of came to me because I was doing that same grind. And then he's like, think about this. Everybody gets upset because they don't have 10,000 followers or 5,000 followers or whatever. He said, if you could get 20 people in a room, just 20, that would listen to you a minute to showcase your knowledge of buying and selling a home, you could probably get 2 clients out of that. What would those 2 clients be worth? We don't look at social media that way, but we should, because all of the algorithms are changing. We know that Facebook is only showing your post if there's engagement in that post, right? We know that Google and local services and things like that are trying, they've done this in the big explosion, and now they're trying to figure out a way with their algorithms to get us back to communal, which we need community, right? And what we need to be doing as real estate agents and even coaches or anybody else that are helping people achieve success is we need to look local, more communal, right? And we can do that with our social media. You can do that by posting. Every community's got a let's talk Jefferson. Let's talk Orange County. Let's talk, Temple. Let's talk, whatever the cities are, right? Are you active in that? Are you participating in that? Are you sharing your opinion in that? And being a part of that community, all while carrying that brand with you. Because every time you do that, and even if it's a gripe, I remember in my small town here, they put up those speed cameras for the schools, right? And I got a ticket. I didn't even know the doggone things were there until I got a ticket. And then I'm like, what in the world? I call up my representative, my councilman. He's like, well, we got to slow down traffic. I'm like, look, I'm a abolitionist, man. Like, I don't think we need to be having pictures of people doing things wrong and taking them to court over it and charging them. I mean, like, every human I know breaks a law. Like, this seems ridiculous, right? But when everybody was complaining about it in the city thing, I was able to interject my opinion on it, that I was against it. I didn't believe it was right, but I would go along with what the community wanted, right? Because we did need to take care of our kids. We don't need people speeding around the schools. And a whole time, it's Michael Carr, the realtor, right? The abundant life broker, in the name of my company, Anything Real Estate. And thousands of comments, right? And then hundreds of comments on what I said in support of. And so that people need to realize, your clientele and listeners need to realize that is so powerful. And I don't post a lot of stuff on my social media. I just don't. Right? That's just me participating in social media with my brand. And it's powerful.
So you don't have to be the one posting, but you should be the one engaging, what can take you just as far. And you're talking about communal, and I'm taking back to 2009 to a client that I was coaching at that time when, Web 2.0 came out, stuff like that, and Facebook was just getting bigger. And she started a community on Facebook called Anaheim Hills Buzz. It's a private Facebook group. And what she did is she went out to the community and invited people into that Facebook community. And if you scroll over, over 10 years of that group, you probably will find an average of maybe one real estate related posting every single year, not every single month. But she happens to be a real estate agent and now has about 24,000 people in that group. And she never ever said, I'm a real estate agent. Like you said, she'll be engaging, wearing, a shirt with a name badge, etc. And I got to tell you, she retired from real estate, and that group still generates 3 to 4 referrals every single month that she refers out to people and gets paid from them. So the community, it's just the power of who you are. And you just happen to be a real estate agent.
Yeah. And
yes.
I'd like to coin
a
new term that we're introducing for the first time on the Chadi Bazzi Show.
Yeah, let's do it. What is it?
Let's do it. Real person before real tour. Okay, that's how you do social media.
Love
You're the real person first, and then, oh, by the way, I'm also a realtor.
Yep.
Right?
Wow.
Love it.
I love that.
Yep. And we do it. It took me a long time to figure it out. And then when you start getting down that road, then you're like, oh, okay. And the interaction. And I still am always pounding the table with my realtors. Hey, post, right? Because it's still important. But the real gain comes from the engagement to those posts, reactions and kindness to those posts, and showing up and being a part, and people realize it. That's so vitally important. And then when they look you up, you're having the right messaging, and that's where your real why is going to start coming out. That's when they're going to look up and say, oh, well, they like horses and I like horses, or they like this and I like that, or we have this in common, and we have maybe it's a football team, maybe we all are cheering for the same college football team or something. There's so many ways that we can find connection in a disconnected internet world that leads to those gains, that leads to those conversations, that lead to those listings, that lead to those sales, that lead to the commission.
At the end of the day, every lead you get, doesn't matter how you get the lead, it's considered an internet lead because they're going on the internet to say, who's this person I just met, etc. So here's what I'd like to do right now. Okay, the audience, at the end of the day, the show's not about me. The show's not about you. It's about our audience. Okay. So if we were to give them like some actual real tidbits, action items, and say, all right, if you want to level up your brand, here's 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5 things that you can do between now and the end of the year to have a better year next year than you did this year, what would it be?
Okay, I'll take that one first. All right. So first off, you need our HEAP criteria. Okay, you need to think about HEAP, HEAP. You need to sit down and think about this. It might take you 30 minutes. It might take you a week. You got to do it. All right. You're going to think about everybody. If you haven't got started in real estate before, you're going to imagine the people that fit in these groups. If you've been in real estate for a long time, you're going to think back about the deals that you did that this fit. You want to think about people you can truly help. Okay. If you're not in a naval-based community, you don't need to be trying to connect with people that are in the Navy. I'm just, you know what I mean? It's probably like if you live somewhere around the Midwest somewhere, you probably need to be looking for more people that are in that area, like, cowboys and outdoorsmen and hunters and fishermen and things like that. Okay. So find somebody that you can help, truly help, because they're in your community. Then the second is the E. Somebody you enjoy working with. Because if you don't enjoy working with your people, you're not going to chase them. You're not going to be attractive for them to chase you. You're going to wake up heavy and I can't move. I don't want to do this anymore. Then the A is people that will appreciate what you do. All of us realtors deal with this. I deal with this with my own children that will go to a friend that has never bought a house to ask them about a house they might buy rather than coming to dad who has bought and sold hundreds of them. It's unbelievable. Okay, so all your realtor friends and are listening, don't let those people beat you up, right? Right? Find and think about the people that have come to you before and say, Chadi, I just appreciate what you did for me, what you did in that. You helped my family through this transition. You helped my family move. You went far and beyond. Look and imagine for those people. Then people that are profitable to you, okay? Again, that sort of goes back to the H also. A person in the Navy, it's not moving in or out of a naval base is not going to be profitable to you. Find somebody that is, right? If you have other ties to that, like if you have a past life as a bookkeeper, look for other bookkeepers. So then you're engaging, and then go find those people to engage with. Start DM conversations with them. Introduce yourself just as a person. Hey, I saw you like the same things I like. I just want to start a conversation with you.
I think, I'm sorry to interrupt. So
you're good.
Okay, I'm good. Okay, I think this is this is something that I would say probably 9 out of 10 agents never done, and I'm gonna say that you have to do it, because when you do this, it's gonna give you 2 things. It's gonna give you, number 1, clarity. Okay. And then once you have that clarity, it's going to give you certainty. And all of a sudden, all the stress of not knowing whether you can make this business work or not is just going to be eliminated. And then you're able to have that, laser focus on, okay, these are the people that I can help. These are the people that I want to help. These are the people that I enjoy working with. These are the people that are going to appreciate what it is that I do for them. And it's going to be a win-win in a very profitable way, where everybody is going to be happy. I love it. Tonya, what do you want to add to that?
I would say search for your point of differentiation. Okay. You don't want to be the better agent. You want to be the different agent. Better is subjective. What might be better for you might not be better for Michael, but different is inarguable. So search for things that make you different. Now in real estate, a lot of people get hung up on, well, I don't, if I really hone in on, first time home buyers, does that make me different? It could, but differentiation comes many, many ways. You could be different because you truly embrace the lifestyle of your area. Maybe you're in a a ski resort area and you embrace that lifestyle, so you can speak to people from that standpoint. I'm a downhill skier. I'm on the tourism board. I have, and that way you can stand out. It could be many different ways. It could be something very personal in your life. Maybe you are, into dog rescue, and that connects you to other people, because 70-something% of people have an animal in the home, a dog, most especially, in the home. Who doesn't love them, right? So there is a connection there. It could be because you work a certain area, like waterfront properties, or an area where people do a whole lot of sailing, right? All of those things that would make you super unique. And I could go on for hours about all the different points of differentiation that people have. But sit down and write down the things that make you different, not better. Different, and then solidify one, head in that direction, and don't stop promoting that in some way, or just being yourself. When I say promoting that, I mean just be yourself. And it's, the real person before the realtor, right? Here's what I do. Oh, by the way, I can also do this.
Mm-hmm. And that point of differentiation helps people. The reason you do it is so you stand out. So your conversation with that person stands out over the other person that just says, I'm Michael Carr and I sell houses, right? And then they forget who Michael Carr is. They don't care, right? But if I say to somebody, hey, I'm Michael Carr, I'm the abundant life broker, normally somebody will go, what does that mean? Well, now I got a conversation. Now I get to talk to them. Now I get to explain what I do. And even if they're not buying or selling a house, it sticks with them. They remember it. And then I want to give one more, because this is really good, especially they teach you in SEO, right, with your Google SEO and stuff, to really sort of mimic a lot of the news that is already prevalent in the market, right? And that way, you might get more engagement on it. But the real reason why you want to do that is because it's a conversation that is prevalent on everybody's mind. I can't tell you, Chadi, how many times I get phone calls, texts, emails, and personal conversation with people at the grocery store, at other venues that I go to, restaurants. Hey, is the market going to crash? Is the market going to crash? Is the market going to crash? And I get opportunity to say, no, it's not going to crash. Quit panicking, right? Quit, because the panic might push to a crash. It's not anything that, economically speaking, that's going to cause that crash, especially in the housing market. We have not kept up with the building needs of the United States for 10 years, people. 10 years we're behind on building single-family residences and multifamily complexes to keep up with the need just from the birth rate alone. So, yes, interest rates are going to cause you problems, right? But we can overcome that. Mortgage companies are going to come up with, if they keep up with this thing, they're going to come up with creative ways for us to be able to sell houses. Yes, there's going to be a lull for a minute. Yes, we might not see gain in our stuff. But see how I've already put in authority with these conversations, and now these people remember that. If you live in a neighborhood, you could already call everybody in your neighborhood, not as a realtor. Yes, you are a realtor, but as a real person, and say, hey, what do y'all think about these interest rates? Is anybody thinking about selling that now? Say, there's no way. And just have the conversation with them. Well, so-and-so down the street, I heard they're getting a divorce. They might have to sell, but I don't know what they're going to do. You know how people talk? That's what they do. Yep. And then you go, well, I need to have a conversation with them, because, they don't need to be dumping their house right now just out of fear. There's no reason for that. And now you're having conversations with people, and you're the authority, and you've just used your point of differentiation to be memorable when you leave the room. This is how we've got to approach real estate.
Be different. Be real. Don't try to be better.
No.
Because you're being real. If you're being real, and you're being genuine, and you're being different, let people see you as better, not you telling people you're better.
Agreed.
So if you
very well put.
Better, just be the better person. And the better person makes it all about his community. And I want to share something real quickly, because as you guys were speaking about this, I'm reminded of a gentleman by the name of Juan Cabrera, gentleman that I worked with. It's a gentleman that absolutely loves the community, and he is in part of Los Angeles that is, troubled neighborhood in Los Angeles, gang members, et cetera, et cetera. And he's a school teacher, and he's a school teacher that also happens to be a real estate agent. And in real estate, he makes probably about 4 or 5 times more money selling real estate part-time than he does at his working at the school. But he's not going to give up the teaching position because of his love for the community. Is that what you're talking about, being different?
Yes.
Is that an example of being different?
Absolutely.
Absolutely it is.
Because what are they going to connect with him first on? What he's so prideful about and passionate about. Because that's the human connection. That's like, oh, wow, that's incredible that a man would feel so passionate about that he wouldn't give up his day job, even though he's making 4 times that selling real estate on the side. They don't even care how much real estate he's selling.
Yeah,
they just want to know that person.
And let me tell you, when you're telling that story, even I thought that you would end it with, he held on to that teaching job for insurance or retirement, or right? Even I went there. I'm like, well, that makes sense. Yeah, no, because I'm a businessman first, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Let's, shortest point from A to B. No, he's saying, because why do you keep that teaching job? He can say, I love this community and I love these kids and I want to see it grow and get better. And if I can help be an influence to them at this age, then they're going to make this a better neighborhood. And that's a different story. That's a different conversation. Yep.
100%. Some of those kids have graduated and had no direction and ended up getting involved in real estate as a result of his relationship with him. That is amazing. I'm thinking about myself right now. I'm like most passionate by just, parenting and having a strong connection with the children and really understanding the difference of like when it's time to be a parent and when it's time to be a child with your children. So I think I need to begin to bring that more into my communication with people via the internet, the way I do, etc. Is that going to make me different?
You bet it will.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You bet it will.
All right.
Absolutely.
Coming soon, baby. Coming soon.
Coming soon. I love it. Well, Chadi, what we say is a great brand does not just change the way others see you; it changes the way you see yourself. And when you put your work into that, when you work with professionals, like I learned it from her, I would have never thought I'd been a broker ever. I just didn't think that's who I wanted to be. I would have never thought I would be even start to consider myself the abundant life broker. And many days I get up and the only thing that makes me the abundant life broker is I love and believe in abundance. I just believe in it. I believe we should approach real estate. So much of real estate is from scarcity, not abundance. There's so many houses out there and so many coming and so many people need them. We should say, look, there's plenty of business for everybody. Get out here and get digging, right? That's what really makes. But I try to live every day up to that moniker for the people that are impressed by that. They go, oh, I want to be with Abundant Life Broker. Well, if I can't help them be abundant, I haven't lived up to what I'm supposed to do. It holds you responsible, just like you're talking about. And then that starts to flow in your conversations and in the way you write and your social media posts and the things that you do that are attractive to those people that need it.
Yep. Awesome. So I'm thinking to myself right now, there's been so much value that's already been shared in the last, 40 minutes that we've been on here. And some people are probably saying, hey, Chadi, just get to the point. How do we get a hold of, Tonya and Michael? How do we reach out? How do we connect? So how do people reach out? Because some people want to find out more. They want to take this to the next level. They're ready. So how do they connect with you?
Well, we're ready for them. Okay, so just 2 things to remember. Anything you want to know about us, you can find at brandfacestar.com, brandfacestar.com. That's our main website. If you're somebody, like Chadi said, that's sitting there and saying, I'm ready for this, like I know this is what I need, you can cut straight to the front of the line. Just go to discussyourbrand.com and you can get on our team's calendar. Discussyourbrand.com. So there you go. It's kind of like the fast pass at the theme park.
I love that. Discussyourbrand.com, brandfacestar.com. You guys got the Chadi B Fast Pass. We hooked you guys up. And then, of course, social media, and we'll go ahead and link that up in the show description. So if you're driving while listening to this, etc., you can always go to tlashow.com and you'll be able to get all the links to everything on how to get a hold of, BrandFace, Michael and Tonya. Well, thank you guys very much for being on the show again. I'm sure there will be a part 3 in 2023. Any final words before we part?
I would like to end with this because we talked a lot about our why today. And I want to say my why, my professional why I shared earlier. There's a personal why as to why BrandFace exists today. When I was young, my family, I was just surrounded by alcoholism and addiction, both sides of my family. Fortunately, by the grace of God, it passed right by me. Thank goodness, right? But I was surrounded by that. And I always wondered, why do people make the decisions that they make? And I learned at a very young age that sometimes the only difference between somebody like one of your friend's students, right, that are in a gang-ridden neighborhood, they're sitting there waiting for maybe a next drug deal, and somebody with a bright future going off to start a real estate career or off to college, sometimes the only difference between those two is self-worth. It's knowing why they're special and what makes them special and making them feel special about themselves. And that's really what I believe BrandFace is all about. It does change the way you see yourself, and everything begins from the inside out.
Yeah, and I would say be bold. Be bold with your brand, folks. Like, get out there. Share it with people. There's people that need it. They're looking for it. Go get it.
Be bold, be better, be beautiful, be you. Thank you very much for being on the show. Our audience, thank you very much for your listening and your, you coming back every single episode. We appreciate the reviews. We appreciate the ratings you've given us, and we're going to keep on bringing you more and more. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next show of the Top Listing Agent Show. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.